HR won't do anything about a coworker who's angry about my weight loss. I just came back to work after a month-long emergency medical leave. The too long didn't read is that after a decade of medical gaslighting, a new doctor ordered an emergency MRI during a routine visit and discovered a mass in my abdomen. I was rushed into surgery within 24 hours. I ended up having an 18-pound benign tumor pressing on my vital organs, and I was about a week away from multiple organ failure. I'm lucky to be alive, and time will tell if I have any lasting organ damage, but right now everything is fine. Mentally, I'm struggling with a few things, but the only outwardly noticeable impact is that I've gone from a size 20 to a size 8. Nobody on my medical team anticipated a change this drastic, but I'm healthy and lucky. I was expecting to get a lot of questions from my coworkers because curiosity exists. I had a basic emergency surgery, but I'm fine now answer that almost everyone accepted but one coworker who I hardly speak to, Aubrey. On my first day back to work, Aubrey came up to me and said, "I wish you had come to me to lose the weight instead of resorting to such drastic measures. You're going to gain it all back, you know. I'll be waiting." I was aware of Aubrey's reputation, but since we never worked together, I didn't think it would be an issue. She's one of those people who think they're a fitness expert and calls herself a health coach. Nothing to do with the company we work for. She has a reputation for giving out unsolicited and incorrect health advice and is always commenting on people's food choices. I was speechless when she asked why I opted to get butchered instead of putting in the hard work to lose the weight. There's nothing wrong with someone choosing surgical weight loss options, but that's not what happened to me, and I really resented her aggressive attitude for spreading rumors. During my second week back, she came by my office at the end of the day in athletic gear, offering to go with me if I was too afraid to go to the gym alone. At the time, I wasn't even cleared to lift my kid, do laundry, or climb a flight of stairs, let alone go to the gym with this crackpot. I don't remember what I said to her, but she left saying I'd gain the weight back because I'm lazy. The next day, Aubrey ranted angrily about me in a meeting I wasn't in. Missed it for a follow-up, ironically. I don't know everything that was said, but the gist was that if I can't dedicate myself to weight loss, I obviously can't see my work obligations through. HR called for a red flag mediation. At our company, mediation can go against your bonus opportunities for the year. I have no idea why I'm in mediation when she's the one being an asshat. At the mediation, Aubrey stated that she was triggered by my new body, and I should have thought of other people's feelings and warned her before my surgery. I hardly had time to warn my husband and get my kid out of daycare. I don't owe Aubrey anything. I have empathy that she's obviously struggling, but that does not excuse her behavior. HR said that while they can't ask me to explain my medical history, it might clear the air if I told her what kind of surgery I had and why. I said I wasn't obligated to share my medical information with anyone, and that Aubrey having bad coping skills doesn't entitle her to a coworker's personal health information. Their response was kind of, "Well, then we can't stop her from bullying you." After Thanksgiving, my doctor helped me put in ADA accommodation paperwork so I could work from home. I was having some mild complications from surgery, but also to avoid Aubrey. This company hates remote work, so they're really not happy. Aubrey still emails me workout videos and diet plans, and when I forward them to HR, their response is, "Noted. Do you know when you're coming back to the office? I've been thinking about escalating this to corporate with an employment lawyer." Is that overkill? I'm still in a sensitive place after my surgery, and I have no energy for this, especially since Aubrey is fixated on weight loss, which was the primary way doctors gaslit me for years. I've been with this company for 5 years, and I'm just exhausted and disappointed in how they're handling this, and I want it over yesterday. Here's an update that was made on April 17th, 2023. All I have to say for this update is hold on to your banana pants. I saw a lot of comments asking where management was in all this, so I'll address that first. My boss, George, was getting ready to retire while this was going on. George is roughly my grandfather's age, so this entire situation bewildered both him and his replacement, who he was training at the time. Both of them met with Aubrey's boss, because believe me, I was documenting everything she did from the jump, and they all assured me that Aubrey would be dealt with. None of them recommended the red flag mediation. That was HR's idea. I was given details of the meeting where Aubrey ranted about me, and it was horrible. But apparently Aubrey was asked to leave by her own boss, while several other employees told her to stop. So managerially and in the office in general, people were trying to rein her in from many different angles. HR is where the ball dropped and dropped hard. This company just has a poor HR structure and bad entry to mid-level HR. When Aubrey's boss referred her to HR regarding her negative behavior, HR took it upon themselves to consider it a mediation situation, which, remember, at our company can go against your bonus for the year. Despite communication from George, his replacement, and Aubrey's boss saying I wasn't in the wrong. When George found out about this, he spoke to the HR generalist manager, who said that my absence probably caused a lot of strain and extra work for Aubrey, when Aubrey's not even credentialed to do what I do. Management made a point to tell me how baffled and upset they were with HR's handling of the situation every time something came up. My company mentor was also a huge support during this time until she decided to take another job elsewhere. When my doctor extended my ADA work-from-home accommodation a second time, HR responded by telling me my attendance was a concern. I emailed their boss's boss, the HR director, and asked for clarification. He said I hadn't come into the office, so, of course, my attendance was a problem. I reiterated I had medical documentation stating that if WFH wasn't available, then they could refer to the FMLA documentation my medical team also sent. He replied that medical documentation, including both FMLA and ADA reasonable accommodations, doesn't hold much weight with the company. That's when I got a lawyer. Aubrey as a problem kind of drifted to the background when HR started their medical documentation doesn't matter campaign. On my lawyer's recommendation, I contacted the HR executive team, which is where this whole cursed situation came to light. And I did check with my lawyer about emailing this update, and they laughed and said I couldn't leave people hanging after all that. I called the chief HR officer, which, for my company, is going over like 5 people's heads, but I did it with George's and my new boss's blessings, who is the head of HR, and asked why my attendance was an issue when I had reasonable ADA documentation. She had no idea what I was talking about, so I filled her in on all of it, including the mediation meeting and Aubrey's harassment, and the HR director, her direct report, saying medical documentation didn't hold any weight with the company. She was speechless and asked to meet with me and my lawyer as soon as possible. My lawyer hardly had to do anything during the meeting because the CHRO was horrified at everything I told her. I've never actually seen steam come out of someone's ears, but if it was physically possible, it would have happened here. My lawyer didn't need to say a word, but just nodded and smiled when the CHRO offered an extended paid medical leave so I could handle my recovery, and said Aubrey constantly sending me fitness plans would be dealt with swiftly. I didn't hear anything out of Aubrey for a long time, but I did hear through some gossip channels that the HR staff involved in the red flag meeting threatening to write me up were let go. Aubrey wasn't fired because they believed she was misled by HR, so I understand that part even if I don't agree with it. But she was on a tight PIP for a while. Then she showed up at my house. Now we moved from banana pants to full-on banana ensemble. I'm still on leave, and out of the blue, Aubrey showed up at my door on a weekend with 2 other women in tow, and the commenters guessed it. She's in very deep with an MLM. Or maybe a cult, I can't be sure at this point. Aubrey came over to demonstrate some workout techniques and give me some diet supplement samples and discuss a career opportunity because she was worried about my physical and professional health. She didn't make it past my mother-in-law, who has been a godsend right now. My mother-in-law made it clear where Aubrey could stick her demonstration, and they left in a hurry. I notified my lawyer and the CHRO, and suffice it to say, Aubrey is now a full-time wellness coach. I'm happy I went with my gut and got a lawyer because the company has changed so drastically over the last year with the toxic HR department encouraging behavior like Aubrey's and spreading false information about medical leave and time off. The company is almost unrecognizable. Also, with my boss and mentor both gone, I don't know if I'm going to go back once I'm medically cleared. The company is also undergoing a restructuring right now, and my department may end up distributed between other parts of the company or even other parts of the state. I have been looking at jobs and doing some resume drafting for a full-time remote position since it feels like it might be a better fit. But many thanks to the comment section and all the support. Here's the final update that was made on June 12, 2023. I got an offer from a local company that's going fully remote with administration and management meeting up once a month. The salary was right. It's 90% remote. It's a good fit. So I'm happy with it. My role is HR adjacent as head of payroll. I report to the COO and was hired by the CEO and COO. I walk into our first admin meeting, and who is sitting across from me but the HR director who told me medical documentation doesn't matter and orchestrated my red flag meeting. Let's call him Bob. Bob is the interim HR director for this company. Bob looked very uncomfortable when he saw me. We went through some employee files, including several who were on maternity leave and 2 who were injured on a job site. Bob got quieter as we began reviewing medical documentation and approving paid leave. I smiled and looked him in the eye every time I asked, "And does Jill have her medical documentation?" "Great. Medical documentation holds a lot of weight. That's important stuff to have." He looked like he wanted to melt into his seat. At one point, he tried to argue against someone using their PTO to provide end-of-life care for a parent when they had ample PTO. I smiled and said, "You're right. Our employee support fund should cover half this time. It's a shame for them to have to lose all their PTO when they're obviously going to need it to heal and grieve over the next few months. Why don't you get me the paperwork for the support fund this afternoon?" "That's so generous." Everyone was happy and in agreement. He looked like he swallowed a lemon, but everyone was like, "OMG, Bob, how thoughtful." He had to eat it so bad and got me the documentation an hour later. Bob can suck it. Bob is also only a contractor, so he'll be moving on soon anyway. Medically, I'm doing better and very happy to move on from where I was. Aubrey's been full-on radio silence, which is perfect for me. Thanks, AM team and commenters. Wow, okay, that was a wild ride from start to finish. From life-threatening surgery to corporate drama to MLM door-knocking, it's honestly got everything. I'm just shaking my head at how one person's fixation spiraled into HR chaos, surprise pink slips, and, in the end, a pretty sweet remote gig for our OP. Really makes you think about how thin the line is between concerned coworker and full-tilt harassment, right? Also, major props to OP's lawyer and that mother-in-law guardian at the door. Real MVPs. And can we take a moment for the poetic justice of Bob getting schooled on the importance of medical documentation? Chef's kiss. Anyway, I'm glad OP's health is stable and the drama's mostly in the rearview mirror. All right, here's the next post. I guess it's time for me to come clean. Not because I feel too bad for what I've been doing, but because it's possible my eldest son is on to me. I have 3 kids and a wonderful wife. For more than 25 years, our family has loved doing puzzles together. Since we started, I've done something that may seem unsavory to people that don't understand the joy of putting in that final piece. To ensure it was always me, whenever we start a new puzzle, I take one of the pieces and hide it in a green sock that's at the bottom of my dresser. Whenever we get to the very end, we all, once again, lost a piece. We all search frantically until I'm the hero who finds it. Well, this past Sunday we got to completion once again, only this time there are 2 pieces missing. We begin searching. It may be my imagination, but my eldest son gave me a look. It was a half smirk. I think he's on to me. Derek, if you're reading this, I have more patience than you do. I'll hold my peace forever if I need to. Find yours first, and let's end this madness. Relevant comments, commenter. The battle of wills have begun. OP, he doesn't know what he's up against, commenter 2. Maybe it's you who don't know who you are up against. OP, you never think that day is here. I know it's coming though. Here's an update that was made the same day. A fellow Reddit user PM'd me an incredible idea. I'm going to try and contact the manufacturer and order his missing piece. I'm going to find it when it arrives, then find mine immediately after. I almost feel bad when I consider how truly confused he will be. Thank you, Spock Hyenspores. I don't think he's found this thread yet because he hasn't approached me about it, so this could still work. I'm so excited. This will go down in family history. Checkmate. Here's an update that was made the following day. Well, folks, I've been duped. I got up this morning, went into the kitchen to get some coffee, and as I walked past the puzzle, I noticed that it had been completed. All pieces accounted for. I calmly and politely knocked on Derek's door and asked him about it. He denied knowing anything about it. Like, super convincing. I went back down to my bedroom, confused as ever, and just sat in bed with a blank stare. My wife asked me what's wrong, and I told her that the puzzle was completed and I have no idea how it got done. She literally started laughing like a damn hyena. I've always known about your dumb green sock. I'm in shock. I'm numb. Like a damn gut punch. So as it turns out, she's known what I've been doing for at least 10 years. She said she loved watching me walk around thinking I was some criminal mastermind tricking everyone, and that's why she never said anything. She wanted me to have my win, while she secretly laughed and had her own fun in secret. I don't even know what to say. I'm just processing everything. I cannot believe she's had this over me for so long, and I literally had no idea. She noticed a decade ago that I had just one green sock, since I lost its pair forever ago, and immediately knew something was up with it since I refused to throw it away. I guess that makes sense. I'm an idiot. I've come to the realization that she's actually the master here. It's her house, and I should be thankful she lets me live in it. At least she promised not to tell the kids. Man, I can't get over how this family turned a simple jigsaw into a decades-long psychological thriller. Like, just imagine the smug satisfaction of slipping that piece into the green sock every year, only to find out your partner's been 2 steps ahead the whole dang time. I'm kinda dying at the image of Dad wandering around all Sherlock while Mom's doing her silent victory dance in the background. And Derek? Bro sat there pulling a reverse Uno, and we all love to see it. It's just one of those wholesome but slightly evil family traditions that'll be told at every holiday dinner from now till forever. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so I, 19 male, am babysitting my little sister, 15 female, while our parents are on a trip internationally. It's like a completely different time zone and the signal sucks. They get home in like 6 days. But we are both pretty self-sufficient and felt like it would be fine, and my parents left us food and money and stuff. We've been Gucci for a whole week so far. Anyway, this morning she got her period while we were just like sitting playing video games, and she got blood all over the couch, so I paused the game while she took care of it and put on a Tampad and didn't make a big deal of it. I was trying to be nice because I know it can make girls cranky and it hurts and stuff, so I got snacks and a blanket and whatever. And we kept playing. Well, like maybe 40 minutes later, she freaked out because she bled on the couch again, and I'm like, did you put the thing on wrong or what? So she changed again, and I even helped her clean the blood off the couch this time, and I figured she'd use a bigger feminine thing. NBD. Well, like 30 minutes after we start playing again, she pauses and goes to the bathroom, and I hear her scream, so I run over there thinking there's a spider or something, but she came out holding like this chunk. It was like a chunk of blood. But looking at it, I'm like, shoot, maybe that's an organ. Like, is that your kidney? But she was like, no, it's a clot. And she was freaking out about it. Which, yeah, it was gross. It was like the size of a hacky sack. So I'm like, okay, well, go flush your clot. Anyway, she cleans herself up, but then she said she doesn't want to play anymore. And I'm like, okay. So she spent an hour on the couch with her face all scrunched up, doing yoga breathing, and telling me her cramps were the worst ever. So I gave her Tylenol, but she wouldn't take it because she said she feels like she's gonna throw up. I brought her water and juice and warmed up that gel thing you stick on your stomach, you know? So I was trying to help. Well, then she says, oh no. And she gets up and goes to the bathroom, and as she's walking, she's got like blood going down her leg. She yelled for me from the bathroom, and I go in there, and she's sitting there, and I hear this plopping sound, and there's more of those chunks. Like maybe 2 of them? And she says, I think we need to go to the ER. I'm like, why? And she tells me this is more blood than she's ever had and she doesn't feel good. But periods are supposed to suck, right? And she wouldn't take the Tylenol either, so she didn't really try to manage it at home. So then she started yelling at me, telling me I have to take her because she can't drive. But I'm pretty sure our parents will kill me if I take her to the ER for her period. Is that a thing? She's sitting in the shower now because she said she thought the warm water would feel good and she was sick of bleeding on stuff, and it's more comfortable than the toilet. I asked her if she just needs a bigger Tampad, and she told me to STFU, so she's not even communicating with me at this point. I've asked her a few times if she's okay in there, and she tells me, I'm bleeding out Mason, what do you think? So, like, she's not unconscious. I don't know anything about this, but I also know she hates blood and flips out about any minor cut, too. Is going to the ER because of a period a thing? Can you bleed too much? I thought there was only a certain amount of blood in the vagina every month. I feel like she'd be more comfortable at home anyway if she'd just take the Tylenol. I don't know what to do. My sister is like average teenage girl height, pretty skinny because she's a ballerina and doesn't eat meat. She takes Accutane for her pimples. I'm not sure if there's other stuff that's important. She's had her period for like a year now, I'm pretty sure. Maybe more. She takes Flintstone gummy vitamins, sometimes like the ones in the purple jar. And she's obsessed with Celsius energy drinks. She wears contacts and she had her wisdom teeth removed 2 months ago. I don't know. I want her to be okay and stuff, but I'm not sure the ER is a good choice. Help? Relevant comments. Commenter. 1. Is there any chance of pregnancy, miscarriage? OP. I mean, I don't think so. She doesn't have a boyfriend, and when I asked, she told me to F off, so probably not. Commenter 2, tampons or pads? OP, I asked, and she said she was using a tampon first, but after that she used both to prevent leaks. So both, I guess? She said, always with wings and Tampax Sport. Commenter 3, doctor. If she's saturating more than one tampon in an hour, she should be seen. OP. She said she was soaking both of them, so I guess we are going. Mini updates and comments. 30 minutes later. OP. Okay. She's throwing some extra clothes and stuff in a bag. I'm trying to think what my mom would do, so I brought water bottles, sunscreen, and snacks. And something to do. Commenter. 4. Well, you don't need sunscreen at the hospital. Extra clothes, maybe a water bottle, snacks are good, insurance card, and call your parents. Didn't they leave another adult's number for you to call in an emergency? Do you have another relative? OP. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I gotta tell my parents. F. I mean, no, they didn't. But I think it's because I'm the adult? Commenter 5. Any other adults you can call? OP. All our relatives live on the other side of the country. But like, she has friends and they have moms, but she wasn't into the idea of asking them. Commenter 6. Let this be a lesson to you. If a woman says this is wrong, this doesn't seem normal, about her own body, try listening to her and not making her jump through hoops convincing you something is wrong. While you ask the internet for advice, just listen to her. OP. Yeah, I was being a dick. Commenter 7. Pack her a comfort item. OP. Okay, this makes me feel good because I packed her Squishmallow, and I was kind of afraid to tell her I did that in case she thought it was embarrassing or something. I sent my mom a text. 1 hour later, OP. In response to someone telling me to bring a bowl in case she vomits. Nah, for real. I wish I would have read this, because she threw up in the car twice. She told me to stop driving like Stevie Wonder, and I swear I was laughing so hard I almost had to pull over. Commenter 8. It sounds like she is really comfortable with you. I mean, she let you help her clean up and showed you clots. And you didn't get all, ew, I'm a guy, don't show me. Frankly, you are acting better than my husband would when it comes to helping. He'd never look at my blood or think to bring snacks, so you are doing pretty good, and she might not feel she needs another female. OP. I mean, if I acted grossed out, she'd tell me to grow the F up, LOL. My sister doesn't deal with stupid dudes. But yeah, we're close, and it's just blood, so. About 2 hours after OG post OP. Okay, we got here. She threw up a couple times in the car, but she said she's good now. We walked in and she was like dripping down her leg again, and they saw that at the desk and maybe how freaked I looked, LOL, and took her back pretty much right away. Commenter 9. Adding to this, because questions about her sexual history and habits are definitely going to be asked, big bro, make it clear to her that if she wants you to leave, you will. If she wants you to stay, make it clear to her that you're not going to snitch on her about anything she says. If it's something that needs to be brought up to your parents, the docs can do that. It's not your job to tell your parents her answers. If you can't make her that promise, tell her you can't be in the room. OP. Nah, I'm not saying anything if I find anything out. She caught me smoking weed on the roof 2 years ago and still hasn't ratted, LOL. About 1 hour 10 minutes later, 3 from OG post, 11 p.m. OP. Okay, so she's getting Zofran and fluids and they're gonna do an ultrasound in the room here. So far we know she's not pregnant and some of her labs weren't great. Hemoglobin was 6.8, that's basically the one I remember. She said to tell everyone thank you for the advice and stuff. She also said to say she feels okay, just really tired. Commenter 10. The tube sounds like a catheter. They may want a clean urine sample. The excessive bleeding can contaminate a urine sample and affect certain test results. OP. Oh, yeah, okay. They said they wanted a, urine sample, but I was thinking, why can't she just pee in a cup? About 1 hour 20 minutes later, 4.5-ish from OG post. OP. All right, the ultrasound was normal. She's being admitted. They want to test her for bleeding and clotting disorders now, and they're going to give her some blood. They asked if I know my blood type, which I don't, but I'm not sure why it matters. Sister is B+. Commenter 11. I mean, tampad's a good way of saying tampon or pad. Commenter 12. I agree, this is a useful neologism, OP. Thanks. OP. See, I'm not a dumbass, I'm just inventing new terms. Commenter 13. You have properly unmouthed your foot, so don't be afraid to ask questions now. It's much better to ask questions so you don't have to worry or freak out about things you don't understand than to drive yourself mad with worry. Best of luck to you and your sis. Was she happy you packed her squishmallow? OP. Yeah, she's sleeping on the squishmallow like a pillow right now and told me it's the only reason she forgives me, LOL. That's a good idea, though. When she wakes up, I'll ask her. Commenter 14. If she gets admitted, you may want to consider making a trip home to pick up any comfort items either of you need, like a book, laptop, or blanket, but only if your sister feels comfortable with that. OP. So she packed clothes, and I packed her squishmallow and our switches so we would have stuff to do. But she didn't even want me to get up to go pee, so I don't think she wants me to leave, LOL. She's asleep now, though. Commenter 15. Definitely not the worst way to have to spend time in a hospital, lol. Hope she turns out okay. Though I'm extremely curious about what the root cause is, and if you both feel comfortable sharing, I'd love to know. OP. Yeah, she said she doesn't care as long as I don't post any pics of her because she said she looks like 2024 Amanda Bynes and Britney Spears combined, LOL. Commenter 16. For future reference, you can call your doctor's office or an advice nurse with stuff like this. They will ask you a bunch of questions about what's going on and tell you what to do. OP. Yeah, I was Googling, do you go to the ER for a bad period, and that's how I found the subreddit LOL. But if something ever happens again, that's probably a I better bet. 7 hours later, OP. We both slept. Got a hold of our parents. My mom is looking for flights back home. Sister is feeling a lot better at this point. They gave her medicine to stop the bleeding. I wasn't expecting this to blow up the way it did, so there's no way I'll be able to answer everyone. She's doing okay, though. Should know more about the CT soon. Commenter 17. Mate, I grew up with a shitty big brother, and even now as adults, I know. He couldn't do half the job you've done of taking care of your little sis. You have restored my faith in humanity. And big bros. Glad to see the night was uneventful and that you got hold of your parents. And whatever you do, don't forget to reapply your sunscreen often. OP. Man, she changed my name in her phone to SPF. I'm never living this stuff down, lol. 1.5 hours later, OP. Alright, her vitals now are 101, 65, and 80. So better. 6 hours later, OP. CT was good too. They're pretty sure she has a blood disorder. They're just waiting on the results of it. I guess when she had her wisdom teeth out, she bled more than she was supposed to, but I didn't know that before. So yeah, just waiting on that for now, but they don't think the issue is her uterus or whatever. OPJFC. I'm kind of embarrassed, LOL. I'm glad this is anonymous 8 hours later. OP. Alright, I'm gonna try here instead of a post. And hopefully be more covert, LOL. But could someone that knows about it tell me about type 2 von Willebrands? Like the blood disorder? Because the internet says everything from, like, it's mild to it's life-threatening. And I guess I just want to know more about it and how it affects day-to-day life and stuff. I appreciate the help with my sister before, too. It's cool you guys just do this. Here's an update that was made the following day. Probably. Late August 23rd. Alright, so I guess I was posting updates in the comments, but it's better here? Anyway, so, my sister is okay. She had some scans that were all fine, and they don't think she has fibroids or tumors or anything like that. She's feeling a little better, but still staying here at least another day. Our mom and dad are flying home tomorrow now. My mom was pissed I texted her instead of calling at first, LOL. Already had someone try to find me on Insta, so, like, if you know me or her, no you don't, LOL. She doesn't want this going around school or whatever, so don't dox us for at least 3 years, LOL. She's cool with me updating, though, without her name or whatever. Also, our parents don't know about this either. I don't know. I feel like we should wait until it's been a few years to tell them, too, so they don't kill me, lol. She's gonna hold this over my head forever, lol. Anyway, they think she has a blood disorder that makes her not clot, right? I'm not 100% sure how it works because she had big clots, but they said they're pretty sure that's what's going on because her PTT took longer than normal to clot. They're waiting on von Willebrand testing to come back, but they think she has type 2 probably. Gonna Google that tonight because I've never heard of it. Here's another update. They confirmed it's von Willebrands. I don't know if I'll ever spell that right. Anyway, it's genetic, I guess, so they want me to get tested too, but like, obviously I've never had periods and I've never had surgery, so it wouldn't be as obvious. There's still more testing, like more specific to the type. But anyway, sister is good and we have an answer. She's gonna talk to a hematologist next week about what that means and stuff. Here's a new update posted on August 29th, 2024, 1 week after the original post. So I also have von Willebrands. So does our mom. I've always bruised a lot and got super bad nosebleeds, but, like, I was also a dumbass kid teen who thought life was an audition for Jackass, so I didn't think it was weird, lol. Anyway, we're all about to be real familiar with hematology, and my mom is pissed she's been told some women just bleed more her whole life, lol. Guess my mom and sister weren't just exaggerating when they would say they were bleeding out. So yeah, if you're a girl reading this and you bleed as much as my sister, you should see a doctor. Hopefully no one gets gaslit like my mom did. Here's a public apology for being ignorant on what y'all actually go through, because I thought you could only bleed so much a month, fully willing to admit how stupid that was, lol. Here's another post made on August 29th, 2024. Hi, so it's me again, 19 male, apparently not that smart, questioning my career goals as a teacher. Anyway, my sister was on her period and thought she needed to go to the ER, and she actually did. I've got another question now, but first, thank you to everyone who answered my first post and educated me because she was in rough shape. Except for the girl who suggested drinking whole milk. Even I'm not that effing stupid, what the F? Anyway, so my sister has von Willebrand's disease, type 2. My mom and I also have it apparently. My mom just got gaslit for years about how much she bled, and it took my sister almost dying for us to all get diagnosed. Like, what the heck? Anyway, I play on a recreational rugby league. Gonna have to pay dues soon, and I don't want to be out the money if I'm gonna get told I shouldn't play anymore because it's a contact sport. But I don't see a hematologist for 5 weeks since I'm not urgent, lol. So was wondering if any of the doctors know if I'm gonna get told I probably shouldn't play rugby anymore. I also like rock climbing. Is that gonna be out? Should I learn chess or crochet or something? LOL. Thanks again. Commenter, 19. If you aren't confirmed yet, don't play contact sports right now until at least you get tested. OP. Okay. Yeah, it's confirmed I have it, but I don't know the subtypes and letters and stuff. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna go. Learn how to play snooker, then LOL, thanks. Commenter, 20. I'm a lurker here because I'm not a doctor, but I am a teacher and I do remember your post. Teaching is a lovely career and the profession would benefit from someone as compassionate as you. OP. Lol, one thing is for sure, no students will get sunburned on my watch. Commenter, 21. Thank you so much for this update. Not only is it interesting, but it furthers all of our professional knowledge base when we are able to hear how things turned out. Good luck to you and your family. And I'm glad that your mom's medical issues have finally been validated. That's huge. OP. Oh yeah, I mean, she's in her 40s. She'll kill me if I say exactly how old though, lol. So, like, I can't believe she's been suffering for 30-something years. She said she's about to write a big "I told you so" to every doctor who ever told her to get used to it. Commenter, 22. Dead serious. No pun intended. You should take up comedy. The ones that are the funniest are the ones that don't understand how funny they are. I'm glad your sister is okay, and I hope you are good too. OP. Oh yeah, I'm totally good. Thanks, man. Showed this to my sister and she said, tell them you're already insufferable as it is. The last thing you need is an audience. Savage, lol. Commenter, 23. You'll know more after your consultation. There are different types of von Willebrands, so what applies to your sister and your mom will not necessarily apply to you. I'm glad you guys got to the bottom of it, and I am extremely disheartened to hear that your mother was gaslit her entire life about her symptoms. OP. Hey, thanks. It's good to know it might not be the same. Honestly, I'm surprised I made it this far without my brain bleeding because I was the poster child for ADHD, lol. Commenter, 24. One more sunscreen comment, OP. My dad's been calling me Banana Boat since they got back RIP any game I had, lol. Commenter, 25. Please accept this version of an award because there's no way I'm paying for them through here. But dude, the sunscreen. I feel like this should be as well known on Reddit as the poop knife. OP. I don't know what the poop knife is, but I'm honored, lol. It's honestly impressive that a video game marathon turned into a crash course on gynecology, hematology, and the many uses and non-uses of sunscreen. Huge props to Big Bro for leveling up from clueless to clutch in record time. Not every 19-year-old would mop up blood clots and pack a squishmallow without flinching. Also, the fact that one scary night unraveled decades of gaslighting for mom is kinda mind-blowing, and a good reminder to trust people about their own bodies. Von Willebrands might bench the rugby dreams for a minute, but at least these siblings have answers and matching diagnoses. Now. Anyway, stash an emergency snack pack, keep your insurance card handy, and maybe call the advice nurse before Reddit next time. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Hey everybody. I am hoping to get some advice on my current predicament between myself and my friends Sam and Sarah. You see, I am very unattractive. I don't mean that as a put down on myself, but an objective fact about my appearance. I have a very naturally unappealing face with several body scars that make me difficult to look at for some people. I've had most of these scars most of my life, and of course I was born with my face, so I've never been much to look at. I have tried to compensate in other aspects of life. I have a decent job, I'm tall, and I'm in very good shape. I go to the gym and eat well. Sadly, this is far from enough to make up for how I look. I have had very few relationships and only one sexual partner, though I'd prefer it had never happened after the fact. Though I certainly tried. Put myself out there for years and was rejected by dozens of women before meeting one that I thought would be able to look past my appearance. I lost my virginity to her and everything, but after a month she came to my place crying and saying, though she found me attractive as a person, she couldn't get over my appearance and had felt terrible. She confessed sex with me was extremely difficult the 2 times we did it due to how I looked. I told her I understood, and we went our separate ways. I'd have been happier if we'd been friends and never dated, if I'm being honest. That was several years ago, and I swore off romantic love and sex since it was just hurting me. Life has been pretty good since I gave up. Wish I wasn't what I am so I could find love, but I get it. I made some great friends, Sam and Sarah. Been friends with them for a few years now, and we get along great. The only issue is that they are in relationships and have this fantasy about going on triple dates with me included. Problem is, of course, I don't date, and so they have been trying to play matchmaker. There have been probably 7 or 8 attempts now to get me with some friend or acquaintance of theirs, ranging from being blindsided with a date when I thought I'd just be there with them, or inviting girls to parties and trying to get us together all night. I hate it. I feel bad for these girls, because obviously they weren't told about this either, and now they have to play nice with the weird ugly guy their friends dumped them on. Not only that, but there is this look in their eyes that I'm sadly used to now. It's a combination of sadness and fear that overcomes them when we make eye contact. I can feel them looking at every mark on my face, getting more and more grossed out and uncomfortable. Of course they're scared. This 6'6" man who looks like Frankenstein's monster has become your date for the night. I'd be scared too. I tell them every time not to set me up as I don't want a date, but they get so excited to finally find the one for me that they do it anyway. So backstory aside, I keep telling Sam and Sarah to stop setting me up. And last week they came over to hang out, and Sarah kept mentioning this friend of hers from work and starts showing me pictures. I see where this is all going, and when I find out they invited her to Sam's party in a few weeks. I say cool, I look forward to meeting her, but this isn't a date, and I won't be letting them push me onto the poor girl. She's cute, and from what they tell me, I'm sure we'd get along great if I were normal, but that just isn't the case. Sarah begins to get upset at me and asks me why I won't just give her a shot, so I asked if this girl had even seen a picture of me or heard about me. She admitted that she had not and hadn't planned on showing her my pic or even telling her about me until the night of the party. I'll admit I snapped and told both of them to stop playing matchmaker. I was sick of it and showed them texts from 2 of the girls they victimized. They were kind enough to tell me they liked me but weren't physically attracted to me. Showed the texts, and Sarah and Sam made an excuse and left. Haven't heard from them in a week. How can I fix this? I've made my peace with the fact that I will never know romantic love, but I need friends. Too long didn't read. I am ugly. Don't want to date anyone. Friends, keep playing matchmaker and subjecting poor, unsuspecting women to my appearance. Some of OP's comments. Commenter 1. Show us a pic of yourself. OP. The last person I trusted to show my pic sent it to her group chat to laugh at me. I don't like putting it out there anymore. Sorry. Commenter 2. If your friends did show your pics, would you agree to the matchmaking then? OP. Part of me wants to say I would, but after having the last relationship end the way it did, I'd rather not risk it. Commenter 3. This isn't a joke or meant to be mean, but maybe someone who is visually impaired would be able to appreciate the real you. I think you sound cool. Best wishes, OP. I considered this at one point, but then she has to deal with potential harassment over being the blind or visually impaired girl who settled for the ugly guy. Or I'm seen as the beast that took advantage of her. I'm not putting some poor innocent girl through that. Commenter 4. If you don't want to date, that's fine, but it's no more your place to decide for that potential woman what she has to deal with than it is your friend's place to decide that you'd be happier in a relationship. You don't need to justify your decision to stay single, so it makes it sound like you're trying to be some sort of hero, saving someone from, what, loving you and being happy with you? You should be single because that's what you want, not because that's what you think others want. OP. I've seen what being with me physically does to a woman. It broke the only woman unfortunate to have sex with me. I just can't do that to another person. I've hurt enough people. Commenter 5. If I were normal. A combination of sadness and fear that overcomes them. Poor, unsuspecting women. Frankenstein's monster. 2 of the girls they victimized. Please, dude, get some help. These comments about yourself are very unkind and very unnecessary and very extreme. This isn't the writing of someone whose life has been pretty good. OP. I'm not exaggerating. My appearance frightens people. I'm not normal. Commenter 6, downvoted. Confidence is sexy. You sound depressing to be around. OP. That's fair. I don't actually talk about this kind of stuff except when I'm telling Sam and Sarah why I don't want them matchmaking me. I don't let my looks bother me when it's just hanging out. It's when they've tried pushing me into these situations that the negativity comes out. One of the top comments, now deleted. Hey Sam and Sarah. I'm sorry our last conversation ended the way it did, but I'm not sorry we had it. The unfortunate truth of the matter is, you are being incredibly dismissive and disrespectful of my life choices. It is comparable to if I told you I was gay, and you insisted on continuing to set me up with women because you feel you know better than me what I want. It's a shame if my current life choice for myself makes you so uncomfortable that you can't fathom being in my life unless I'm coupled up. That hurts, but if that is how things have to be, then so be it. If me, as I am, a single person who wishes to remain so at this time, is enough for you to still want to be friends with me, then that's great. However, going forward, you would have to respect my wishes and my boundaries regarding this issue. I will leave you with that for now, and I hope to hear from you. ETA. So sorry you've gotten so many responses doing the exact same effing thing your friends do. It sucks to be so dismissed all the time. OP. Your last paragraph is so appreciated. Thank you so much. Here's an update that was made 4 days later on July 29th, 2022. Hey everyone, I figured since posting here the other day ended up being an overall cathartic experience, and since I have a very happy update I'm back to share. After spending hours reading and responding to users both in thread and in DMs, I decided to reach out to Sam and Sarah and try to set things right. We met up to talk, and to keep it short, Sam and Sarah hadn't reached out because they felt terrible after realizing their mistakes. They were very apologetic, and I promised that as long as they stopped trying to set me up and forgave me for snapping at them, then we were cool with each other. Looks like communication saves the day again. So after our talk, they asked if I wanted to come over and play some games and have a few drinks with them and some of their work friends. Sarah admitted the girl, Laura, that they wanted to set me up with would be there, but that they hadn't said anything to her about me and there would be no pressure or matchmaking going on, so I agreed to go. So last night I came over for drinks and games. I met Laura without some stupid blind date pretext, and she's a lovely person. We have several interests in common, and she and I have very similar jobs within different companies, so we have a lot to talk about. It's great. They didn't meddle, and I got a new friend. Easy peasy. Heck, we get along so great she's inviting me over to her place tonight to watch some movies we both learned were some of our favorites. Then some pizza, and complaining about working in IT. So my social life is alive and well, it seems. That's about it as far as my update is concerned. Sam, Sarah, and I are cool. I made a new friend, and I got to talk to so many wonderful people on Reddit. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to read my post and give me your opinions and advice. There are some really great folks in this community. Heck, I'm still receiving a few messages a day of kindness from you awesome people. Too long didn't read. Friends and I made up. Made a new friend. Still ugly. Very happy. Top comments. Commenter 7. She invited you over for pizza and a movie at her place. I think you have more of a shot than you realize. Commenter 8. Even if this girl isn't interested, I think this will help you relax and put less pressure on yourself about your looks. Maybe you aren't the most attractive guy, but you seem like an interesting, intelligent person, so just be happy with yourself for your good qualities. Commenter 9. I just want to throw it out there. I don't know what you look like, and also could not really care less because I've met some ugly people in my life, and I am 300 lbs. Just don't knock yourself down a few notches. I don't give a shit what you look like. You've got a good job. You're safe around women. You're in shape and care about your well-being. You maintain communication and friendships. You have boundaries and realistic expectations. You're respectful. The way you look is the least interesting part of you. Somebody is out there for you and will also recognize that your face is the last interesting part of you. Here's an update that was made 2.5 years later on December 9th, 2024. It appears all of my posts are being removed. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to fix this. A few years ago, I came to Reddit to ask about an issue I was having with my friends trying to set me up on blind dates. I have linked those posts above for context. I am physically very unattractive due to various circumstances in my life, leaving me scarred, which causes issues in blind dating, as you might guess. I then updated it after we had resolved the issue. The woman they were going to try and set me up with before our argument, Laura, ended up being really cool, and without the pressure of it being a blind date, and just us hanging out with a larger group, we clicked and were fast friends. We hung out the night after at her place to watch movies and eat pizza. It was great. We started hanging out more and more as time went on, and eventually she asked me out. I was terrified initially, but decided to go for it. She's not bothered by my scars. She looks at me with kindness and warmth that is indescribably wonderful to me. Laura and I are still together. We got a place together not too long ago, and I intend to propose to her early next year. Sam, Sarah, and I are all still great friends. We now go on those triple dates they always wanted. We even did our first Friendsgiving with them, their SOs and the kids. Laura loves getting to cook for a house full of guests, and we intend to try and host more group meals now that we have a place with space for it. It wasn't easy, but with a growing support network in Laura and my friends, I was able to finally get some more help for my mental health to work on my insecurities and trauma. Been going for over a year now, and progress is slow but steady. Laura has been my rock. I love her more than I ever hated myself. So it's been easier than I expected to keep going to therapy appointments. So that's about it. I was in a very dark place, and some kindness from internet strangers helped me through a rough patch, so I wanted to repay them by at least posting an update, even if most of those people have since moved on. OP's comments. Commenter 10. This is such a sweet and heartwarming update. OP, I'm so happy for you and Laura, and I'm glad you're getting help to work through your insecurities. I'm glad you decided to take another shot at love, especially since the pressure of finding it through blind dates was taken off. May you have a great long life surrounded by love and support. Thanks for updating us. OP, thank you so much. People were so kind to me when I came here before, and I felt like reaching out when I remembered everything I posted. I was in a very dark place, and I bet I worried some kind-hearted people with all that negative self-talk. Before Laura, I never thought I'd even be allowed to imagine getting to spend my life with someone. Yet here I am planning a proposal for the woman I love. And she loves me. I'm a lucky man. I'm sorry for rambling. I had to stop myself from going on and on about Laura in the post, and I'm almost doing it here too. It's kinda wild how a no more blind dates boundary turned into movie night, soulmates, and triple date potlucks. Honestly, Sam and Sarah meant well. But sometimes a friend's best move is stepping back and letting life breathe. Laura showing up, liking him for him, and being totally cool with a few scars. Man, that's the good stuff. And our guy doing the therapy work? Chef's kiss, seriously. It's proof that the right people aren't scared off by a rough exterior. They're drawn in by the heart underneath. All right, let's keep the feel-good vibes rolling. Here's the next post. We moved into a new house about a year ago so that my son, who turns 4 next month, can have his own room. We thought the transition would be rough, but he took to his room almost immediately and have had no issues. He loved his room, has all his toys in there, bedtime routines went smoothly. Most nights he dozes off after a couple of stories and a smooch on the head. He has his night lights, and we keep his door open, even though he never mentioned being scared of the dark. Something changed on July 4th. He spent a good chunk of the afternoon playing in his room, even refusing to come downstairs for a bit. That same night and every night since, he refuses to go into his room at all, insisting on sleeping in our room. He won't go in with us holding hands, and if we're able to get him in for a second to retrieve a specific toy, he won't go, all the way in, and then immediately run away back down the hall. He has no problem taking a bath in his bathroom across the hall, but he insists we keep the bathroom door closed. Then he runs straight from the bathroom to our room. We have asked him in all sorts of ways why he doesn't want to go in his room, and he'll deflect either by screaming "cowboy hat" a la Muffin, or giggle while naming every animal he can think of. We're guessing he had a nightmare at some point, but he did spend the afternoon in his room with no problem on the day this started. We're not getting anywhere here, and as a result, I've been sleeping in his room while he shares our bed with my husband. Maybe I'm looking for someone who had a similar experience with their child that can offer up some fresh ideas, or maybe I'm just venting because I miss my bed. Argh, here's an edit made on July 23rd. Thank you so much for all of your great responses, ideas, and stories. I think I may have cracked the case here, but now I have to figure out how to go about it. I was just grabbing something in his room around 3 p.m. today and heard what was definitely an animal scurrying on the roof. Probably a squirrel. We have a metal roof and an exposed beam ceiling, so we hear any drop of rain, but I have never until now heard an animal. This would make sense as to why he sometimes keeps naming animals in his room. Now, if I'm right, I just have to figure out how to go about this. Here are some of OP's comments. Commenter 1. My guess is he's either scared or ashamed. Could be fireworks like others are mentioning, or it could be really silly. Hopefully not a ghost. I'm thinking like he pooped in the closet, had a potty accident, vomited, broke, or spilled something. Have you torn the room apart to make sure nothing is different about it? OP. My perception is that he seems more scared than ashamed. I've been sleeping in his room every night and checked every single corner, nothing out of the ordinary. I don't think it's the fireworks, because there were no fireworks going on in the early afternoon when he was actually in his room, and either way, he enjoys fireworks so much. We stayed outside all evening and watching them in both the front and back of the house. I've kept his room as normal and welcoming as possible, especially when he's taking a bath. He might crane his head around the corner to get a peek of his room, but ultimately turn and run. We managed a few times to get him to walk a few steps in and grab a specific toy he wanted, but then he bolted. Here's an update that was made 19 days later on August 8, 2024. After exactly 1 month, I finally figured it out. I've been busy but wanted to update because I still am so stoked he's back in his room. A few days ago, I got my son to acknowledge a couple of his toys from the doorway, and he stepped in a little bit with encouragement. I then took the opportunity to point at objects in his room, and he had a huge reaction to a Marvel poster that had been hanging over his bed since we moved in a year ago. He ran to our bedroom and hid under our covers, so I took it off the wall and walked it through the hallway. I stopped at our room for confirmation, and he freaked out when he saw I was holding it. I told him that it's going in the garbage and he's never going to see it ever again. I hid it downstairs for later disposal, came back upstairs and told him it was gone. He leapt out of our bed and hurried down the hall to his room and jumped in excitement that, "Evil face is gone!" He then screamed in excitement about his Mario Kart bed, tossed my pillow off, threw his Mario pillow on, and tucked himself in. I was so ecstatic I danced around with him the rest of the night singing, "No more evil face." We played with all the toys he missed. He slept in his room that night and has since been spending even more time in his room playing by himself. He brings up nightly that evil face is gone and his room is fun. To those who are curious, it was a Marvel-framed poster with like 100 plus superheroes and villains. He had always named even some of the more obscure characters. My husband is a comic book guy and passed on this knowledge. I'm not sure which character scared him in particular, but I theorize it was either Emodoke or Ego the Living Planet. I didn't stop to have him point out which was the evil face. Here are some more relevant comments. What the poster looked like. A picture of the poster. 100 Marvel characters commenter. 2 I knew. Yes. Ego and Emodoke have very evil faces. Another contender could be Armin Zola OP. That one too. But I couldn't remember his name to be honest when my husband put it up. I felt like one day he would be scared of some of the sinister faces on it. But it just didn't click since it had always been there. Commenter 3. When my son was a baby, I put Mickey Mouse and Friends wall stickers near his changing table. He got terrified of their eyes or something and I had to remove them. When he was a preschooler, I bought him pajamas that had a polar bear face on them and its eyes were angled and fierce looking. He was scared of it. I took a Sharpie and rounded the polar bear's eyes and brought his eyebrows out and down to look kinder. I was proud of myself for that one. OP. Yup, I think it's best to stay away from eyes and front-facing heads for decor. He still has his big Mario movie poster with Mario and Luigi, but their heads are turned so it's not so aggressive. Plus he loves Mario and Luigi, and they're so the opposite of scary. Man, kids can make you feel like you're living in a horror movie over the goofiest stuff, huh? One minute it's a perfectly normal bedroom, the next it's evil face territory and you're camped out on the floor like a hostage negotiator. Honestly, I can't blame him. Ego's giant scowl creeps me out, too, and I'm a grown-up. Props to OP for letting the kid take the lead, and for being willing to ditch the decor instead of forcing the issue. It's wild how fast fear flips to joy once the scary object is gone. That Mario Kart bed comeback had me grinning. Note to future parents. Scan every poster from a preschooler's eye level before you hang it. All right, here's the next post. I've been sitting on this for a few days, trying to decide if I'm just being dramatic or if I've been letting too much slide for too long. So I, 30 female, have been happily married for a few years now. My husband, 31 male, is honestly a gem, kind, patient, hilarious, loyal. Basically everything you'd want, which, after having an ex cheat on me with his best friend, is kind of a big deal. That relationship wrecked me for a while, but I worked hard not to drag the wreckage into something new. And my husband, and thankfully my husband's never given me a single reason to question him. Until now, maybe, I do not know. My husband and I have a great relationship, and we're pretty social and often hang out with each other's friends. I get along with almost all of his group, and they've honestly made me feel welcome, except for her. His childhood best friend. Let's call her Claire. Claire has always been cold to me. Not outright rude, just subtle enough to make me feel crazy for noticing. You know that kind of vibe? Every time we've been in the same room, she's managed to talk around me, not to me. I tried, I really did. I've smiled, made conversation, been nothing but warm, even when she's given me nothing to work with. She doesn't show up to group hangouts, but she'll invite him over. And he always tells me, to his credit, he never goes without mentioning it. And he's never weird or secretive about her. But it still rubs me the wrong way. I've tried being friendly, I've tried small talk, hell. I invited her to our birthdays, barbecues, engagement dinner. She bailed on all. She skipped our wedding too. And she only ever seems to reach out to him, usually when she's just been dumped and needs to talk. When I've brought it up, my husband says I'm overthinking it. That Claire is just a little odd socially. Maybe she is. Then a few weeks ago, out of nowhere, she messaged me. She asked if I'd model for her project. Totally unexpected. And I was caught off guard enough to say yes. Part of me thought, maybe this is her trying to connect. Maybe this was her olive branch. I even felt a little hopeful. God, I was naive. So I agreed. My husband offered to come with me since he hadn't seen her in a while and thought it'd be fun to catch up after. When we got there, her family was also involved. And from the second I walked in, it was like stepping into some passive-aggressive Twilight Zone. Her mom and sister kept calling my husband our son-in-law. I laugh, awkwardly. Think I must have misheard. It only got worse. During the shoot came more of the snarky comments. Jokes about the one that got away and some bonds never fade. Her mom, at one point, literally said, "We always thought Claire would end up with him. But life has its detours, I guess." Claire always imagined walking down the aisle with him. And then, it's sweet of her to fill in, though. Oh, come on. I wish I was exaggerating. And Claire just kept snapping pictures, smiling, saying nothing. No, hey, cut it out. No awkward laugh, no redirect. Nothing. My husband? Clearly uncomfortable. I watched him fidget through the whole thing, clear his throat a few times. He tried to change the subject or came near me during the shooting. He didn't say much either, just went kind of quiet. I stuck it out for an hour, let her take her photos, smiled, posed, whatever. But the whole time I felt like I was part of a social experiment, and everyone else was in on the joke but me. When we got in the car, he was silent for a while, then finally said, "Sorry about all. That was weird, right?" And honestly, I didn't even know what to say, because, yeah, it was weird. It was borderline disrespectful, and the fact that he was there, saw all of it, clearly felt it too, and still didn't step in or pull the plug. It makes me feel kind of alone in this. I'm just tired of pretending this woman is harmless or just awkward. She knows exactly what she's doing. I don't want to start a huge fight, but I'm at the point where I don't want her in our lives. Not as a friend, not as a ghost in the corner of our marriage. No more bending over backwards to be the cool wife. I'm not interested in earning points with someone who clearly doesn't want me around. Anyway, thanks for letting me scream into the void for a minute. I really needed to get this out. Edit. Sorry guys, English is not my first or even second language. Sometimes it is harder to get my points, feelings across. Just to clarify a few things people were asking about. Claire is actually a photography major, and this shoot was part of her final project. I'm not a professional model or anything, but I've done some hobby modeling here and there, so when she asked if I'd help out, I thought it was a casual favor. Why at her house? She comes from a wealthy family and has a fully set up photo studio in their house, which is why the shoot happened there instead of at a regular studio. I honestly thought it'd just be her and the camera, not a full audience with drinks and commentary. Additional background. I grew up in a pretty emotionally abusive household, so I think I've gotten too used to passive-aggressive comments and just sort of freeze up. Maybe that's why I didn't react more in the moment. But yeah, it definitely hit harder after the fact. I will update you as soon as possible. Thank you for all your comments. Relevant comments, commenter 1. Borderline disrespectful? I'd hate to see what you think is actually disrespectful OP. Wow, reading your comment, and honestly so many others, has really helped me see just how not okay that whole situation was. I think I was so used to brushing off this kind of behavior that I didn't even realize how deeply disrespected I was. I grew up in an emotionally abusive household where snide comments and passive aggression were just part of the background noise. So when someone pulls that kind of crap now, I think a part of me automatically minimizes it like, oh, I've heard worse. But reading all your reactions kind of snapped me out of that. And yeah, it hurts that my husband didn't shut it down. I've been trying to rationalize it in my head like maybe he didn't want to escalate things because it felt like a trap, or that he is not used to being in these kind of situations. None of that excuses it though. Not even a little. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow. Really talk. Not brush it off. Not laugh it away. Just lay it all out. Because at this point I need to know where he stands. Thanks for the reality check. I needed it more than I realized. Commenter 2. Gotta be honest. The whole modeling session photography stuff sounds 100% unbelievable. That doesn't even make sense. At all. Are you a model? Is she a photographer? Why a photo shoot in their home? Why all the family members there? That's not how photo shoots work, really. OP. Yeah, honestly, I get why it sounds off. I probably would have side-eyed the whole thing too if I wasn't living it in real time. So no, I'm not a professional model. She just needed someone for a thesis project, and I've done a little hobby modeling here and there, so I figured it was casual enough to help out. I guess she didn't want to go through the trouble of hiring someone last min. As for the location, Claire comes from money. Like, money. They'd converted part of their house into a kind of makeshift studio for her to work in with lighting, backdrops, the whole deal. So that's where we did it, which I didn't think was too weird. Until I got there, and her whole family was hanging around like it was dinner theater. Drinking wine, making snide comments, just watching. It was honestly awkward as hell. I definitely wasn't expecting that. I thought it'd just be her and a camera, not a whole audience and running commentary. Update APR 23, 2025. A quick recap for those who missed the original. My husband's childhood best friend, Claire, has never liked me. She skipped all invitations, but invites my husband alone, avoids me in person, and still found little ways to insert herself into his life. The final straw? She asked me to model for her final photography project. I showed up thinking maybe it was a fresh start. Nope. Instead, I got publicly mocked by her family, who joked out loud that she should have been the one marrying my husband. First off, holy crap. I did not expect that post to blow up like it did. Thank you to everyone who commented, messaged, or just made me feel like I wasn't losing my mind. So many of you asked for an update, and here it is. For those wondering, no, they never dated. He had a high school crush on her over a decade ago. That's ancient history. No, I don't think he's ever cheated, emotionally or physically. He's always very open and honest. We have each other's passwords. They barely see each other anymore in person. Maybe once every few months. We live about 2 hours away. Okay, so here's the update. Funny enough, I didn't even get the chance to sit down and talk to my husband before something else happened. I just can't believe my life at the moment. Anyway, I was still trying to process what happened and sort through my anger towards Claire and honestly, toward my husband too. That's when I got a message from my sister-in-law. We'll call her Madeline. I'm really close with Madeline. She's also part of the wider social circle that Claire floats around in. They're friendly but not close. She sent me a screen recording from Claire's close friend story with a simple WTF. It was a clip of me posing during the shoot. No music. But in the background, you can clearly hear Claire's sister say, Claire should have been the one to marry him. I lost it. I waited until my husband got home from work, sat him down and showed him the video. He watched it once, then again. His whole face changed. He finally looked pissed. I could not help but think why. Didn't he have the same reaction there? So I laid it all out. I told him everything. Every snide comment, every time Claire made me feel small. How I'd always tried to be civil. How I never asked him to choose between us. But I was done being polite while someone consistently disrespected me. I told him, if this doesn't bother you enough to act, we've got a bigger problem. I'm not going to be in a marriage where I have to beg to be defended. Need a partner who stands up for me. And if that's not you, then I need to rethink this. He didn't argue, didn't get defensive, and I know he feels sorry. Then I showed him the Reddit post. He tried to read every comment. Some of them made him tear up. When he finished, he looked at me and said that he feels like the worst husband. He let this happen right in front of him. He is so sorry, and asked me, what do you need from me now? I told him, straight up, this isn't just about her anymore. It's about whether or not you're willing to protect this marriage. But I'm not going to feel like I'm second place in my own relationship, so it's either me or her. So we called Claire. She picked up all cheerful, acting like nothing had happened. We brought up the video. She immediately got defensive. Oh, come on, it was just a joke. Are you really mad over that? Seriously? And that's when he stepped in. This isn't just about the video. It's the constant disrespect toward my wife. I didn't say anything before because I didn't want to lose your friendship, and I convinced myself you didn't mean it. But what happened at that shoot? That was disgusting. My wife came to support you, and you and your family treated her like a joke. I didn't speak up then, and I'm ashamed of that. But that ends now. I don't even know why I held on to this friendship for so long. If you can't respect my wife, you don't respect me. She laughed, literally laughed. Wow, you're really cutting me off over that girl? OMG. I was ready to fight. But husband calmed me down, said to Claire, if choosing between you and my wife ever felt like a hard decision, I wouldn't deserve her. We're not kids anymore, you need to grow up. I simply do not want to be your friend anymore. I have nothing else to say. But yeah, we blocked her and her entire family. Since then, he's been checking in with me, not trying to fix things, just showing up, listening, understanding. He finally sees what I've been dealing with. We've still got some healing to do. But now I know where he stands, and that changes everything for me. To everyone who commented last time, thank you. Seriously, you helped me feel like I wasn't crazy. And maybe even more importantly, you helped him finally see it too. You could practically feel the tension just radiating off every single paragraph, right? Claire's family acting like they were casting for some cringy rom-com. The poor OP frozen in place. Yikes. Honestly, boundaries are everything, and seeing the husband finally step up was this big sigh of relief moment. It's wild how someone can hang around in the periphery for years and still stir up that much chaos. But hey, cutting off the toxicity? Chef's kiss. Here's hoping they both keep that line in the sand bright and bold. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I'm close friends with a coworker, and we've helped his mother in her 80s with house maintenance. His mother's neighbor, I'll call her Elaine, was in her 90s in 2016, when Elaine's husband, who was in a home, died. While doing maintenance on my coworker's mother's house, I drove there in my 1975 Falcon, and Elaine came out to ask me to have a look at some cars I might like that had belonged to her husband. I won't go into detail except 3 were in good drivable condition and worth a decent figure, and 2 more were ruined but good parts cars. At the time, I couldn't afford anywhere near what they were genuinely worth. 2 are at least in the top 5 desirable Australian classics. I told her what they could fetch on the open market, but she was happy to take $5,000 for all 5 cars well under their value. She wanted to make sure they went to someone who would appreciate them, and I paid for and collected them a week later, and I still have the 3 good ones, 2 now on historic registration and the other in storage. Elaine passed away in the middle of this year, and her grandson is on the warpath over the cars. He's found my contact details and phoned me several times threatening to sue for effectively stealing the cars from his grandmother, and has turned up at my front door once demanding the return of the cars. I have not been served or received anything in writing from him in a legal sense, only his business card, which sounds dodgy. I've verified he's an actual lawyer, as he claims through a website of his employer, which lists him with photo as specializing in commercial and insurance law, just like his business card. I'd have expected if there was a real legal issue with the ownership of the cars, it would be in relation to the grandmother's estate proceedings, and I'd be contacted by mail by someone acting as executor, not via phone calls and doorstop visits by one angry, smug bastard acting like it's happening between me and him alone. Since I'm not a lawyer and my presumptions could be completely out, I'm posting here. If need be, I could now afford the market price of all the cars. Is the grandson likely to have a case, and should I find a lawyer of my own? Relevant comments commenter. Not a lawyer, but if Elaine's husband left them to her in his will, she was free to do with them as she pleased. Ergo, the grandson has no claim. He'd be banking on your uncertainty of that to strong-arm you into cutting a deal. Don't ignore any official summons or claims, but you can safely tell him to sod off over the phone. If you want to get really petty, you could contact his law firm and complain about him. But as long as he wasn't intimating that his employer was in any way involved, it's none of their business. So they could tell you, cool, so what? OP. Thanks. Banking on my uncertainty is a good way to describe the vibe I'm getting from him. He's not exactly throwing his law firm's name around, but it is on the business card he gave me. OP on what the cars are. I feel more comfortable describing them now after reading the responses here. One registered is an XYGT replica in nice shape built from a Fairmont. The other registered is an XB Fairmont coupe in excellent original condition, and the third, I'm still working on getting back on the road, is an XA sedan Falcon 506. The last two were wrecks and have already been parted out and the good bits kept. A spare XA sedan and an XW that looks like it had spent 30 years as yard art. The XW collapsed at the torque boxes in plenum while being trailered and nearly came off in two pieces, but worth it for the glass and trim alone. Here's an update that was made 13 days later, from my original post a couple of weeks ago. I spoke with my coworker about the issue, and he talked with his mother, who clued me into her neighbor, Elaine, from my previous post, not having any grandsons. My coworker's mother is still in contact with Elaine's son and daughter, as they own and still work on Elaine's old house next door. She put them in contact with me. They wanted to know who it was who was actually threatening what about the cars, as Elaine has no grandsons, and we spoke. They identified the lawyer grandson as an old ex. He was once a partner of but not married to one of Elaine's granddaughters for a few years. He's also known to be in a lot of debt, which might explain desperate hunting for valuable items. Elaine's son and daughter reiterated that their dad had left instructions to Elaine for the cars to go to someone who'd cherish them, and they were happy they did, and glad to hear from me that they're still being looked after together. I haven't contacted the faux grandson's law firm yet. I have a lot of evidence of his misrepresentations to me, and after Googling New South Wales law, I'm not 100% sure of the legality of all of it, especially about sharing my home security and dash cam recordings directly to the other firm, or even speaking directly to them. I'll go through my own legal representation there as a filter on what I need to give them to make sure they know of his behavior linked to their firm. Here's a small update. Fake grandson came around twice more. I now have multiple records of him, visiting my residence, threats via text, and many phone calls to me after I asked him to not contact me again, except in writing. Complaints have been made through my lawyer to his firm and relevant regulatory bodies. I informed him of the complaints on Thursday and reiterated not to contact me again, and I haven't heard a peep from him since. Here's the last update. Fake grandson had already been dismissed from the firm before my lawyer and I complained, and he already has complaints against him for other reasons. Wild how folks will whip out the old "I'm a lawyer" card just to bully someone into giving up what's rightfully theirs. Good thing OP kept every scrap of evidence, texts, vids, business cards, because paper trails really do save the day when wannabe sharks start circling. Major props to Elaine's kids for backing the whole deal and making sure those classic Falcons ended up with someone who loves them. And hey, commenter 1 nailed it with that "tell him to sod off" advice. Chef's kiss. Feels extra satisfying knowing fake grandson got booted before the complaints even hit his firm's desk. Anyway, here's hoping those beautiful Aussie classics keep cruising and the drama stays parked for good. Alright, here's the next post. Anyway, that's enough Reddit and Minecraft for today. If you liked this video, make sure to like and watch this next video too. See ya!